Well, Ron, many buyers that I talk, they believe they need to have a huge down payment saved even before they start searching for homes.
Yeah, that's a common thing that I hear in the market too. And it's why we want to go ahead and bring this information to your clients so that we can share it because there is myths out there that have kept people back from building long-term generational wealth. And I'm excited to teach a little bit more today. But first, let's tell them a little bit more about you.
My name is Sheila Gadami. I'm broker, associate realtor with Century 21 Fine Homes and Estate. For over 20 years, I've been helping buyers and sellers realize their real estate goals in the FW area.
It's awesome. Yeah, and I'm Ron Toy with Meridian Mortgage. I'm a senior loan officer. I've been helping families for the last 10 years achieve their dreams of home ownership. And in that 10-year period, I've helped over 2,000 families. And one of the things I always say is I guide people along the path of successful home ownership when others simply showed them to a door. And you're going to see a little bit more today about some of the amazing programs that help the clients who think they need to have large lump sums saved up before they can even buy the process in the down payment and closing cost assistance programs available here in Texas. So yeah, I'm excited to bring that to you.
Sounds perfect. And if you don't mind, along the way, I will ask a few questions that is very common when I talk to the buyers regarding this down assistance program.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go through it and at any point just let me know and we'll stop and make sure to answer any questions you have because I know this is super important so clients feel comfortable and confident every step of the way as they go through this journey. But yeah, so in essence, what we're going to go over, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about what is a down payment assistance program, the TSAHC program, the benefits of these programs, a little bit on the eligibility of each program, common misconceptions, and then the takeaways. We already presented ourselves and introduced ourselves, but here's a little bit more if you want to have that. So let's get into it. The down payment assistance programs, there's multiple types. There's the grant option. These are awesome. They're treated like a gift. So in essence, there's no repayment period. And there's a lot of programs like TSHAC, SEF, TDHCA, and some of them have that grant option available. So that's one. There are some that are treated just like a traditional loan, and it's got a repayment period, it's got interest, normal loan. Now, there's a forgivable loan. And we'll go into the details on this, but some of them are a 3-year period and some are 5 where they have no interest, no payment, no nothing. As long as you stay in the home 3 years, some are 5, you don't have to pay those funds back. And most of them will give up to 5% of the total loan amount to help cover your cash to close and down payment. That's where the deferred loan comes in because they're forgivable, deferred, and some of them will have a deferred period where it's not forgiven, but you don't have any payments for the first 5 years. And then, of course, there's the gift option that is straight gift. And those are usually community organizations. But that's just a kind of a brief overview of the main types of down payment assistance programs out there. And, we were talking about the benefits of them. And a lot of people, especially over the last few years, if you would agree with me that it's been tough. A lot of people racked up credit card debt and interest rates are high. So their cars might have had a higher interest rate than they've experienced. Have you seen that as well?
Yes, yes, I will say that. People,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I see even some people they shop grocery with their credit cards. That's
Yes. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like these credit cards. So what can this program do? Maybe somebody already does have the funds saved for a down payment. But what if we could utilize these funds to help them put this towards the house so they can use their own funds to pay off their credit card? And now their monthly servicing is reduced. And they get to pay off those high yield credit cards and interest bearing accounts instead of having it tied up in their fixed asset, helping them make it more affordable to be successful in homeownership. And we talked about TSHAC because there's national programs and there's multiple different state programs. TSHAC's one of my favorites. I'm one of their authorized lenders and I love their program. They have some of the lowest rates for down payment assistance here in Texas. And like I said, they have up to 5% of the total loan amount. So when you have like FHA or VA, the upfront funding fee is included in that so that you can get a little bit more assistance. And again, they have grants and the deferred second liens that are forgivable after 3 years. They even have this cool option where it's a mortgage certificate credit. So, say a client needs a little bit of help to qualify for a property they really like, because maybe there's an HOA or the taxes came in higher. If they're in the right situation, they can add an MCC credit, which reduces the amount of money that's taken out of their check each pay period so that they can afford a little bit more home. And TSAC we can utilize those with TSAC as well. So it helps overcome some of these hurdles that are barriers to that entry point of home ownership. And I wanted to share so you could see this live for on a 300, 350, 375, and 400,000 price point because Texas properties have appreciated pretty significantly over the last few years. What the estimated payment would be. Now, this is with taxes and insurance, and then the cash to close, because that's start to finish. They haven't paid their earnest money yet. They haven't paid their option money yet. They haven't paid their appraisal. So this is the total start to finish. No seller concessions considered. What they would need, worst case scenario, to buy each of these price points here in Texas utilizing the program. Isn't that
Interesting.
awesome?
This is perfect. It opens a door to many buyers.
Absolutely. And if they can get seller concessions, which we see a lot right now, because the way inventory has taken a little bit longer on the market, they can get up to the amount they put in earnest, option, and appraisal back at closing. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, perfect. Mhm.
And this is why I love to bring this information to people because it debunks that myth that they need to have $20,000 or 20% down or all these crazy numbers. Most people get something similar on their tax returns. And so if we can put that together and give people a custom tailored game plan to help them feel comfortable moving forward, we can make it happen. And that's the part where some of it is just educating the clients on our side because handle everything start to finish. So there's not anything extra they have to do. There is a home buyer course that they can take online and it's free that just teaches them about successful home ownership once they're under contract. But aside from that, they don't feel any difference in the process between a normal, standard, conventional FHA, VA, USDA loan, or if we use the assistance programs in conjunction with the other options.
And how long does this usually take in order for them to get qualified for this program?
That's a great question. So, in essence, because we're delegated, which means we handle everything in house, once they do the application, once they're ready to start looking for a home, I have that reviewed and their game plan sent out within 24 hours. I request documents to make sure that I verified what's in the application. So, like their income, their current assets, and their credit. So, I review all of that. I document it accordingly. And then once we have all of their documents in, within 72 hours, typically start to finish, we have them pre approved, ready to go out and start making offers.
Is this program only for the W-2 employees or it can be for the self-employee as well?
That's a great question. So in essence, they use our income calculations. So we can, if they have W-2, great. If they're self-employed, that's fine as well. It's just based on however we calculate their income. And so, yeah, if a person is a self-employed borrower, as long as they're buying a primary residence, they can utilize the program.
Okay. Is there any income limit that is set for?
So depending on where they're buying, there are income limits, and they're based on the county as well. And we do it. That's part of my preliminary review. Is I do an intake with the client. I get to know them and their situation, and I find out their goals. And then I ask where they're looking to purchase, so that I can start looking up the different programs and guidelines in that area or in those areas, so that I can custom tailor their analysis based on their goals. So if they're looking in Dallas County, I know lets me look up Seth, TSAC, all of the counties for those programs, and then I can present to them, hey, you're looking to utilize down payment assistance because one of your goals was to limit cash to close. Here are what the max income limits are. Here's the ones that you qualify for. And then I allow them and encourage them to make an informed decision on which path to go forward.
And that brings me to one more question that I've been
Mhm.
asked from buyers that I know some of this program require the buyer to purchase the home in some certain area. Which
Mhm.
one of these programs falls into that category?
Right. So there are some that's like that, and that's where we identify some of those things through this application process. Thankfully, TSHAC is for the state of Texas. And so it's not, there are areas called targeted areas, which will allow for a little bit higher income. And so, but the program itself, you could buy a house in Frisco, you could buy a house in Plano, you can buy a house in Arlington. It's wherever you are, regardless. And so, those ones aren't, but there are programs like, if I'm not mistaken, like I think they just recently changed the name, but back in the day it was called the Dallas MAP program. And those were like specific targeted homes. This is why I love this program. It's so versatile because it does allow them to buy anywhere in Texas. And there's like parameters on max loan amount and max income, but usually because of those numbers, it's very generous. And that's where I have in that analysis 425, 500, so that people can see what they can do. And based on what their individual situation looks like, we identify which programs work best because we do have programs that don't have a max income and don't have a max purchase price limit. So that's why it's really about the process and identifying a person's individual situation and then presenting to them the information so that they are making an informed decision, not just with me, but with their real estate professional as well, because you're negotiating their offers. You have a fiduciary responsibility to them. So it's so important to have that relationship and have that open line of communication so that every step of the way, the client's best interests are kept in mind, and we do everything that's prudent and suitable for their current and long-term financial goals.
Perfect.
Mhm.
I have one more question,
Shoot
if
it.
that's okay. What if some buyers they have like a student loan or medical bills on their record, and they think because of that, that maybe stop them from using down payment assistance program? Is that true or that's just a myth?
That's a great question. And so these are some of the myths and misconceptions and some of the stuff that we love to overcome in this little quick seminar that we do together. Because with student loans, depending on how it's currently set up, that also determines if we're going to look at conventional or FHA. Because with conventional, if the student loans are on an income-based repayment plan and it's showing zero on their credit report, we can use zero. We just have to document that it's on an income-based repayment plan. Whereas if it's not on an income-based repayment plan, each program has a slightly different number you have to use. If it's reporting zero, if it's reporting a number, then you just use the number that's on the credit report. But if it's reporting zero, it's either 0.5% or 1% of the outstanding balance as the student loan payment. And most programs now you can not count the medical debt against them.
Mhm. Sounds good.
Hmm. And that's the other part. A lot of people think, oh, I can't use down payment assistance if I make a certain amount of money. Again, there's programs that allow for there's no income cap, or that they're only for moderate to this income, and or that it's complicated to apply. And that's where we're doing this to help bring down that stress level, because the truth is buying a home is in the top 5 stressful things a person does. They do it 2 to 3 times their whole life. So helping to reduce those barriers of entry to where they just feel confident enough to have a conversation is important, because the if you look at statistics, the average homeowner has 40 times the net worth of a renter. And that's something that drives me every day to wake up early and go to work, because I know that if other people aren't there doing the work to help people bridge that gap, they're only going to fall farther and farther behind.
That's
And that's
exactly.
why it's you got to buy what you can comfortably afford, and don't buy a house or a place for somebody else. And if you're willing to rent an apartment for a year or two to test an area, why not buy a condo and build equity while you're there, and then use that for potentially for your first investment property. And if it debt services, great. Now you have a positive cash flow property, and now you go buy your next home as a primary, and you don't have to put 20% down. You can use the program again after 3 years.
That's
So there's
interesting
it's
that you still
awesome.
can use that after 3 years,
Hmm.
because everybody thinks this is just like a one-time deal, but
Mm-mm.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not only reserved for first-time home buyers.
yeah,
And that's the part where we can really help people build long-term generational wealth through home ownership if we have a strategic game plan in place. That's also why I always ask clients, how many doors do you plan to own? Because most people want to be investors in real estate. So this first purchase is their first one. That's the one that gets them into the door and starts building that wealth. But what about the next property.
Right.
Maybe they want to buy a fourplex. Now they can spread the risk over three. So it's so many cool opportunities, and these programs allow for that. And they even allow for like limited 203K loans. So sometimes if somebody's budget's tight, what does the home need to look like for you to feel confident making an offer? Is one of the things I share with realtors to ask their clients because maybe it needs painted cabinets or carpets or some small thing that can all be done before they move in and included in their loan.
Interesting. Well,
Isn't that awesome?
thank you so much for this great information. That's just like eye-opening.
Yes.
Lots of different opportunities that is out there, and not many people are aware of that.
No. And that's why I'm so happy that you care about the community so much that you took time out of your day to do a seminar like this and provide this information to your clients because it shows how much you care and that you're invested to make sure that your clients are taken care of and not being held back because of misconceptions in the media. And so, like, the most important thing is to know that these programs help reduce the barrier, like it says in the key takeaway of that home ownership. There's tons of options. There's national programs or state specific, but the research is key. And that's why they need to work with people that have the experience you have and I have so that they can be in the right team's hands that will make sure that everything we do aligns with their current and long-term goals. And that's the most important aspect of this because when you buy a house, you're not just buying the house. And that's why I say I show people along the path of successful home ownership when others just show them to a door because I don't want to be there just for the first one. I want to be there for the last one.
Exactly. Kudo to that. I'm
Thank
all
you.
for it.
But yeah, and if there's other questions, I'm happy to answer those. But I appreciate your time and inviting me to help share stuff with your clients and answer questions about this amazing program and these amazing programs.
Well, thank you so much for this fantastic information that you put together and shared with us. Whoever is watching this video, if you have more questions regarding these down payment assistance programs that are available, or any real estate question that you may have in general, you can reach out to us, and we would love to be able to help you step by step through the process until to find the right property.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome.